Joe Douglas, the GM of the team, was available last week, and one of the questions he was asked was about the guy who was going to be the heir to Aaron Rodgers until he played last year, and it didn't go well. They're still holding on to Zach Wilson. Douglas was asked, are you optimistic the Wilson situation will be resolved by the end of the draft? Here's Douglas's answer.
So look, I know you guys talked to Woody about Zach, and I share my thoughts are in line with Woody. That Zach is an asset, and at that same time, we're obviously open to trading Zach. There have been discussions. Nothing's really changed since we talked down in Florida, but we're open to trading him. There's just no news to report on that. And that's the magic trick, sort of, so to speak, is to try to make sure that Zach's in a good spot, but also doing what's right for the New York Jets.
Is there a chance that he could be back? And had you talked to him about that? Is that on the table?
Let me look. We're still in April. Training camp's months away, so there's a chance for a lot of different things.
Wilson wasn't at the first week of the offseason program. He shouldn't be. He's not going to be part of the team unless they just decide they're going to be stubborn. If they don't get an acceptable trade offer during the draft or after the draft, they're going to hold on to him, make him third on the depth chart. He's got guaranteed pay of $5.4 million this year, fully guaranteed, subject to offset. The offset would be $1 million and some change if he would be released and he would go somewhere else. So the Jets would still end up paying him $4.4 million or thereabouts. So they are squatting on a guy that they call an asset, not a human being, an asset. And I guarantee you this, Chris, if the Jets had a top 3 pick this year and they were going to be taking a quarterback, they would have already traded Zach Wilson, because just like the Bears, we're going to give Justin Fields whatever he wants because we want Caleb Williams to think we'll take care of him if this thing doesn't work out. And look at the Patriots, who quite possibly will be taking quarterback unless they trade down. We traded Mac Jones for nothing to the Jaguars. We're going to take care of you if this thing doesn't work. And the Jets are squatting on an asset, and they better be careful because sooner or later they're going to be drafting in the top 5 again. And you don't want a scar from how you treated Zach Wilson to make a player not want to come play for you in the future because they remember what you did to the last guy who was a top 2 pick who didn't work out.
Yeah, listen, if they had a top 5 pick, he'd be released already, period, right? Nobody is going to trade for Zach Wilson. That's common sense. We all know that. That's not going to happen. Nobody's going to trade for a guy that they're going to make the 3rd quarterback on their roster and have to pay him, like you said, $4.4 million. That's not going to happen. That doesn't happen in the NFL. That's not a reality, right? That's why when they were asked, or Joe Douglas was asked, he bumbled and stumbled. I believe what Woody Johnson said already. I'm in line with him, right? Because he's like, in his mind, he's like, wait, we're never going to trade him, but here, let me get my thought out here. And the thought is, and obviously it has this feel, and I think you probably feel this way too. This is a Woody decision. Woody, yes. That's what it feels like. And again, Zach Wilson is extremely talented. We know that. Aaron Rodgers has told people, he throws the ball as good as anybody I've ever seen in my life, right? But it's all the offensive coordinators. It's the losing of mechanics. It's not looking at the coverages the right way. All that stuff. He needs a new place, a new fresh start, all of that. That's what he needs. That's what he wants, right? But I think Woody, being the owner of the Jets for a long time, and, he doesn't want to hear that horror story of, some talented guy left their franchise and became something a few years later, right? To where I think he's scarred by that to a degree. So he's going to be a little stubborn here and hang on to a guy that he thinks has talent that they picked at the number 2 pick of the draft.
And it underscores the reality. And this is one of the things the owners generally don't want us talking about. For the same reason that Roger Goodell is a 60, 70, who knows how many million per year pincushion for all of the owners collectively. Their internal pincushions are their coaches and general managers, except for Jerry Jones. And maybe it's because he's just too cheap to hire a GM, but he at least wears the fact that he's pulling the strings. They're all, to some degree or another, pulling the strings. Woody Johnson pulling the strings on what they do with Zach Wilson. The story last week, Michael Bidwell pulling the strings on everything in Arizona. Everything in Arizona. He's running the show. Josh Harris, more involved than anybody thought he would be. And look, I get it. It's your team. It's your team. And all these owners think that they're smart enough. It doesn't look that hard. I watched it on TV. I understand the game. I should be able to give some input. So they're involved. They're involved. Some more than others, but they're all involved. There isn't a single owner out there who's just saying to his football people, do whatever you want. Spend whatever you want. Draft whoever you want. You don't have to run it by me first. Baloney. They're all involved, except Green Bay, where there isn't really an owner. But even there, Mark Murphy, the CEO, is involved. And with this one, this is one where dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things. Hey, Jets fans, why has your team stunk for 25 years? Because that's how long Woody Johnson has owned the team. He's the common thread. He's the source of the dysfunction. He's the reason this team can't get out of its own way. And none of the guys who currently work for Woody Johnson are willing to say so because they'll get fired. They're not going to say it, but it's really not a mystery. I mean, I look at it this way. When Woody Johnson, Chris, became the ambassador to the UK 6-7 years ago, and he handed the reins to his brother Christopher, the Jets' competitors in the AFC East got nervous because Christopher might be better than Woody and turn this team around. So that's part of the reality. And this thing, it's a mistake. Just write it off and cut the guy and move on. It's not going to help your team to keep him around, and it's not going to help you in the future when you're drafting a quarterback.
No, I hear you there, right? He needs a fresh start. We know that, right? I mean, they need to wash their hands of him to a degree. It is a year where, hey, I think he's in the right spot with the Jets if they keep him. Aaron Rodgers is there. Tyrod Taylor's there. He doesn't, he's not going to be the backup, right? Which is what they don't want. So we'll see where it goes. But it's not a bad situation as far as how it lays out with the Jets, other than that Tyrod Taylor's injury prone and Zach Wilson could end up in there quicker than they'd want if Aaron Rodgers went down.
Yeah, and that's the last thing they need is Zach Wilson on the field again. That's the last thing he needs for the Jets. He needs to go somewhere else. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.